Sturdivant here with the Black Fitness Podcast. Man, I'm excited. Listen, y'all, check this
I
out.
love the intro music.
Listen, man, you are live inside the Black Fitness Matters podcast, where, as you see, strengthening our community one rep at a time is our focus. Today's guest is a legend. I guess that's the only way that I can say it. I remember when I first got into this industry, all I heard was Dr. Fitness. I knew a couple of other trainers in the city here in Jacksonville, and all I heard was Dr. Fitness. And Max Sturdivant has been a mentor. He has been, oh my gosh, like he's a cool dude, and I see him helping a whole lot of people. So without further ado, Dr. Fitness.
First, Coach Chris, I would like to say thank you very much for even considering me to be a part of your podcast. Man, I love it. I love the music. I love the setup. I love the scene. And I'm excited that you're doing it. I was thinking, Chris, you should have been doing this a while ago. So to be back doing it and bringing this live, and I got to represent with
I,
my black
I
fitness
see it.
shirt.
I see
Yeah.
it.
So,
Yes.
there's no doubt. I got to represent. I'm the one that's really proud of the things that you've been doing in the community, and always growing, always doing great things like the new brands. All about representing us and doing good things for us. And so, man, what can I say? So, shoot,
Hey, thank
like,
you, man. Well, listen, we got to get to let the people know who you are. Like I said, the first time I met you in person was at Ready Arts over on in the San Marco area. It was you. I think Errol was there, and there
yeah.
was one other female. There was another female that was there. I can't remember who that was,
Mhm.
but I was low key starstruck. I was fanboying. I was like,
I do remember that. I mean, yeah, it was really great. I didn't get a chance. I was kind of still new, really in the city. I think doing things and trying to get my feet situated.
nah, bro,
But
listen, you can't, nah.
yeah,
When I met you, your name was big in this city. You see what I'm saying? So it was like, you know, being able to have a chance to just talk to you and shake your hand and everything like that. But let the people know who is Max Sturdivant and why Dr. Fitness.
interesting. Who is Max Sturdivant? A black guy with a job. You know, um, you know, I'm seriously, I'm someone who's just been blessed with opportunities to be a support and help people. And I'm excited about it. I wake up every day thrilled about it, and wake up every day trying to see what I can do better than I did yesterday, and see if there's someone else that I can support. And that, I guess, that fundamental idea has been driving me for so long that it's just, I guess, part of who I am. And so
So,
when I think about business,
uh huh.
yeah, it's not work. It
Okay.
really isn't. It's it's finding what you love doing and do it with a passion. And when it's no longer fun, then it's time to do something else.
So, okay, let's back up for a little bit. So, finding what you love. When did you find out you loved fitness and helping people in fitness?
Yeah, that's a great question. I found out that I loved helping people, and my desire to work in fitness stems 100% from my desire for helping people.
Hmm.
And um, it's not about, oh my God, I'm so excited about fitness. No,
Hmm.
my own devices, I will sit on the couch somewhere eating bonbons. Okay.
Truth, man. Truth. I appreciate that, man. So,
So, you know, so my fitness enthusiasm about fitness goes by way of really being able to support people. I lost my dad when I was 3 years old because
mhm.
of obesity. He
Wow.
literally ate himself to death.
Okay.
And my family owned restaurants and uh, fruit and vegetable stands, and so there was always food.
Hmm.
Um, and when I was pretty young, I realized that I had a sugar addiction.
Mm.
When it was time to have dessert, shoot, that's all I wanted was dessert. I wasn't trying to have the rest of the meal.
Mm.
And uh, I come from a really large family, so when you're the youngest,
Uh
there's you kind of get what's left from your older brothers and sisters.
oh.
I learned if I expected to have dessert, I better grab my portion of dessert as soon as humanly possible because my siblings weren't trying to let me have it. So,
okay.
which is perfect. I learned to hide and sneak sweets at a really young age. So you could see kind of where this is going.
Absolutely.
Um, so I realized, bam, once I continued to do that, and there were times in college I was putting on weight.
Hmm.
I already lost my father. All my uncles were really obese. Lots of family members were obese. Diabetes, high blood pressure just ran in the family. And my siblings, some of them were putting on weight. And I was in that category where I could either go to the side of my slimmer siblings or to the side of my more thick siblings.
I like how you put that.
So in college, I was going towards the side of my more thick siblings. Okay. And this girl I was dating said to me, no matter how big you get, I'm going to always love you. And I realized at that moment, oh, I'm getting that big. It was time to do something. So I think that was my wake up call for myself.
Mhm.
And at that point, that was needed. I had to wake up myself to get it before I could think about waking up somebody else.
Okay, so let's fast forward because I want to know and I want the listener and the viewers to know we see the genesis of you and fitness, but where does fitness and the business of fitness meet Max?
Oh, that's a great question, Chris. And doing it as a passion didn't leave me the opportunity to uh, leave the jobs that I was doing previously. What happened was my son started acting up in school, and I realized I needed a job that wasn't going to be on the road because at the time I was working for a marketing company and a software company.
Mhm.
I needed a job where I could be home during the times that he's going to be home. Now, I loved fitness because I started doing it regularly and made it part of my personal lifestyle. And so, people that I got along with best were people who didn't necessarily like fitness, but knew they had to do it. So those were my people. That was my audience. We may not like it, but we definitely going to get out there and do it. And so at that point, I had an audience that was interested in what I had to say. It's a group of people that knew they needed to work out but didn't really like it. And so what I did was I got that group together and offered programming that's going to be fun, interesting, and particularly to someone who doesn't necessarily like working out. And so that was my beginning. One, find a job that I could be home when my son was home so I can stay on them. Two, I needed to uh, get some revenue in it. Three, deal with people that were in my same headspace. We were thinking alike of what we were thinking about fitness, and and those were the three things that I was looking at when I started the business. So now I I met those qualifications, and it was great because what happens in most businesses, like yours too, Chris, once you're doing something and people really appreciate it and like it, and you're in your right niche because the people that are interested in what you are doing see you. They are like, oh, yeah, this is me. This guy is me. And once they make that connection, it's about um, them sharing it with their friends that are similar. And before you know it, you're starting a community.
So
And
let me
so,
slow you down real quick. Hold on real quick because it's getting juicy because I'm like, oh, I'm hitting so many nuggets and it's like going right where I want to go next. But I want to pause for that because you are already dropping so many nuggets for the trainer. I hope that the trainer is listening because he just told you how to find your community, that avatar, that person that you would like to work with and that is drawn to you. So definitely wanted to point that out. Um, let's talk initial investment, like starting out.
oh,
Did you
okay.
spend a lot of money getting into fitness? Did you go work at a big box gym? Um, were you a mobile trainer? And then take us quickly through to the beginning and then almost kind of like the apex. Cause like you've been it, man, dude. I told you. Listen, let me tell the people. I'm not gonna tell the people, but y'all can just looking at you, I cannot tell how old you are. I don't know your age. Me and you, I have more grays than you have.
I don't know about
Maybe I don't know.
that. I don't know about that. I bet I got more hair growing out my ear than you
No,
do.
listen. I got some. So listen. So talk to me about how much did you spend? Like when was the year you started? And that because that's
That
in
matter.
relationship to like what does it mean? What did that dollar mean back then? And then take us forward.
That's a good point. So I invested to begin um, when I got, initially I invested very little. I invested in some weights, a set of weights, some bands, and I invested in my certification.
Mm-hmm.
So back in 1995, I started getting certified.
Mm-hmm.
And when AFA was my first certification, NASM was my second, and then I'd pick up different certifications along the way. But those were my probably my biggest investment. So the initially it's just getting certified and really learning what I need to learn to be able to support people. So that was my biggest investment initially. Um, a lot of the and I did the training I did initially was I would go to people, go to their homes. So I was a mobile trainer,
Okay.
uh, and I loved it. And so most of my practice, I've been a mobile trainer. And so I started in 1995 as a mobile trainer. Um, and then after where it comes to advertising for my business,
Okay.
then it was probably about a grand a month on advertising.
Ooh, since
Back then.
'95.
Oh yeah, back then.
So okay. So listen, the nuggets. Oh my gosh. Y- So what I got out of what you said is it's not the equipment, it's what you invest here.
Oh,
It's
that's good.
you invested in some heavy hitting certifications. NASM is to me as close to a college degree that you can get without going exercise science bachelor's. I've taken a look at some of their stuff, and it's just like, yo, I'm gonna circle back and get that. You know what I'm saying? AFA, one of the big three. You know what I mean? I got my certification ACE. You know what I mean? So,
And that's another one, that's and I think the ACE certification is even tougher than the NASM certification, to be
really?
honest. Oh yeah.
Wow, wow. But
They
listen,
have
I
different modalities,
yeah,
but that ACE is, in my opinion, probably the toughest one out there.
okay, okay. And you said you started with like some weights and some bands, and you were a mobile trainer. So in 1995, I remember gas not even being higher than $1.50. If it got to $1.50. You know what I'm saying? And so so being a mobile trainer the most of your career, that has had to have been something as far as expenses that you had to account for. Not only did you say you're mobile, but you spent $1,000 on advertising. So my next question is your expenses. How did you come up with your pricing?
That is really a great question. I kind of let the market dictate it. Uh, and I knew what my costs were. So back then, I was going nowhere that was. That's so weird. We're talking about all these prices, but back then, my price point was $80 a session. Okay, there are times where my personal price point had climbed, but for everyone on my team, we kept it about $80 an hour. And at this time, I was really building a team because the advertising allowed me to gather more clients than I could possibly do myself.
Okay.
As I created a website that was similar to what we do today with like Uber Eats and delivery,
Mm-hmm.
where clients can get on and just order trainer. And this was before all of that. This was before
Wow.
people were just being delivered. We could just pick up the phone and people come and hit the
Mm-hmm.
app, people come. Well, on my website, we were doing that back then.
Wow. I, I'm
Yeah.
I'm 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 not surprised, but that's something I didn't know about. Like when last time that we sat and talked, I didn't hear that about it. So what you did was you weren't afraid to innovate. You weren't afraid to try something that wasn't being done before, correct?
Well, really, I developed it out of necessity. It
Okay.
was straight necessity. Um, I needed to serve all these dollars that were coming in because I was spending on advertising. I needed to service those clients and service them well. So I interviewed a ton of trainers. And like me, I wanted the trainers to do what they really loved to make it more desirable for them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were a trainer and you liked working with people and doing legs, I would assign you all the clients for their leg days.
Okay.
So boom, you get all leg days. You're in your sweet spot. You're in heaven. You
Mm-hmm.
get to go to work every day doing your thing. And so how I decided to do it was I would categorize trainers as they if they like love, if they were a cardio coach, and all that business I would send to them.
Wow.
And each week each client would have a variety. So you'd have your cardio coach that would come, you have your flexibility coach that would come, you have your strength training coach that would come. And so the clients got a really cool variety of talent and they could choose, over some that work that they liked other than others.
Mm-hmm.
But it just kept it really moving and busy. Yeah.
So my brain is going right. I'm here as a trainer, right, and I'm soaking up all the nuggets. But the first thing I've always heard some people say is You want to take 10% of what you earn and put it in advertising. So I'm over here, subtract the two, carry the one. 10% of 10,000 is $1,000. So if you see where I'm going, when did you go from just weights, a band, and a passion to hitting a nice chunk? Not only just for yourself, but to bring other trainers on where they were not only getting fed, but they were getting fed good. So you started in 95. When did it take off?
um, it really I was able to um, support other trainers in 1997,
2 years. Wow.
where I had a big enough where we were doing Christmas parties, and I mean, um, there was what at in any given time up to about 10 of us that were regular,
And
and
whoa,
so
whoa, whoa. 10, a stable of 10 trainers.
yeah.
Okay, so please indulge me. What was the high and low of trainer payout?
Wow, that's a tough one. Well,
Back
you
then? So
take
like when you were doing all of that and you had all those trainers, 10 of them, like did you have some that was knocking it out the park and making some good money, and you know what I'm saying?
oh yeah. Um, some were knocking it out the park. Um, gosh, I can't even remember all the, but it was a decent wage.
Okay.
So I can say they were making a decent wage, and they definitely there was no one who was making less than $25 an hour.
In 97,
Yeah,
that was a lot of
and
money.
that was yeah. So there was no one making less than $125 an hour.
Okay.
You
So
know,
I got to go ahead.
$25 an hour, my bad.
Go ahead. You said what?
There was no one making any less than $25 an hour, and
Okay.
some people making a bit more, between 25 and 50.
How did you manage these trainers?
At that time,
Mhm.
it was so simple
Mhm.
because trainers got to choose the time that they wanted to work,
Mhm.
and they got to choose the specialty they wanted to work in,
Mhm.
and managing trainers was heaven.
Wow.
Everyone was happy with what they were getting. There it wasn't problematic,
No
you know.
egos.
No egos.
Wow, doc. That is I, I I'm almost like they say getting kind of goosebumps listening to you, and I'm thinking I know back in 97 I was in the army. I had just went into the army. 97 I was an E1, wasn't making nothing. I wasn't even thinking about fitness, like doing fitness or anything of that nature, right? So to hear you had a stable of 10 trainers, average was around 25 an hour. Man, I wasn't making that in the army. Oh my gosh. So talk to me about challenges. What kind of challenges did you face, not only as a trainer for yourself, like your own training business, and then the challenges in the industry and or having those other trainers? Because I know you say you didn't have any problems with them, but there had to have some, you know what I'm saying, some up and down years or any other challenges. You know what I mean?
Um, you know, it's funny because it's hard for me to even look at some of the my interactions with trainers as challenges back then. It's like, and the reason I probably sound you're like, oh, couldn't be that fun and beautiful and wonderful. the reason I think I have that perspective, to be in full disclosure,
Uh huh.
is my experiences after that
I
with
got you.
managing trainers.
Okay.
So I have experiences after that when I went brick and mortar that was difficulties with managing trainers.
Okay.
So, so when I look back on what it was,
It was
and I
like,
look, oh, that was like heaven.
okay.
Seriously. I mean, the biggest thing I would have is a trainer would be, well, some of the trainers are in their early 20s,
Mm-hmm.
and they might have partied late one night
Mm-hmm.
and come in maybe smelling like alcohol at 6 o'clock in the morning with their client. Okay. Not good. Not a good look.
That was me in '96. That's why I had to go to the army because I got fired from a job. Doc, hold on. Listen, I remember the day. I was so drunk. I was working. No, remember the it used to be the Prudential building over on the
Yeah.
South Bank. You
Uh-huh.
know what I'm saying? And I worked there. I don't know if it was on the fifth floor or eighth floor or whatever, but I remember being so wasted. I don't even know how I got to work, but I understood at the end of that day, it was like, thank you, Mr. Courtney. It's been real. And they gave me my papers and I was gone. So I know what you're talking about. Those trainers coming in. You can't have that kind of stuff around your clients.
Because that's the only, you know what I mean, of one or two of that when you're dealing with 20s, when you're dealing with trainers in their early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's like, you know kind of some of the common stuff that just happens from time to time. They get lots of money and they're invincible,
Oh,
and they figure they can do it all. I don't
man,
train person, sleep, I'm good.
man.
I'm like, uh but we just couldn't have it.
Okay, so let's move on. So we talked about the beginning. I want to kind of get into the brick and mortar. So by the time you got to the brick and mortar, where was like, did you have multiple brick and mortars in the city? Did you lease? Did you buy? Talk to me a little bit about that real quick.
But that's another really good question. Brick and mortar was lease,
Uh-huh.
and I'll tell you, the only reason for the brick and mortar was we had a real estate crash
Okay.
across the country. This was the time when everyone's real estate was,
Mm.
we had to bail out the
Uh-huh.
banks. So it turns out that most of the clients of the of my travel company were in the real estate business somehow. Okay.
I got
So
you.
they were either brokers
Uh-huh.
or real estate insurance
Uh-huh.
or developers or agents.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Because it was so much money
Uh-huh.
that back at that time, if you were in those markets, it was just money over money, 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 money,
Mm.
money. They were paying. I mean, so for me, of course, it was the heyday because now I'm just, well, who's gonna stop and keep it going? I'm a low, we're low hanging fruit kind of in that business. We're not in it, but we're benefiting from it.
Yeah.
And so the toughest times for me was, I noticed when, you know, people were canceling, you know, they just couldn't afford it.
Uh-huh.
I'm having to lay off people that are like family to me.
Ooh.
And that's like, I remember it's such a tough time when you're letting people go, their kids, you know what I mean? You're
Uh-huh.
like, their family, you kind of want to hold on and think, what can we do to restructure and save it?
Uh-huh.
But the was not unsavable
Uh-huh.
in that situation. I didn't prepare for the time when there wouldn't be the gravy train.
Uh, Another nugget. I need a. I need a. You. You know that movie? What movie was it? Um, oh, don't be a menace while drinking your juice in the hood. Remember that movie? Hey, you remember when Keenan Ivan Wayans was the baby, and every time somebody dropped the nugget, like message, I gotta get that. I gotta get that. As soon as I hear a nugget, I'm like message. You got to be ready for the lean years. You got to be ready, man. I'm telling you, I'm trying to grab all the nuggets, man, from Doctor Fitness. But how
Really?
did you handle that personally? You know,
Well, see,
emotionally.
you know what? Wow, that is deep because I think it's more of an emotional hurt
Mm-hmm.
than it is a financial hurt,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest. I mean, the emotional piece was the tough part, and
Mm-hmm.
the tough part wasn't money. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it was letting down people who who worked for you.
I got you.
So my role, that was my biggest pain. My
Mm-hmm.
biggest hurt was letting down people who were counting on me
Mm-hmm.
to be forward thinking with the business,
Mm-hmm.
to anticipate when stuff like this happens, and to be ready for the next. Here's how we're going to pivot.
Okay.
And so I was disappointed in myself
Mm-hmm.
for not looking at the pivot, because my pivot to what we were doing was forward thinking, but then I got comfortable
Mm.
and I stopped being as forward thinking with how I'm running the practice. I
Okay.
was sitting in it. Things were so good. Why change anything?
Yeah.
So bam, it was a big wake up call for me. But how I pivoted after the fact,
Mm-hmm.
I had to lay off people
Mm-hmm.
that I really, really, was family basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then I pivot to leasing space in a facility.
Okay. So, did you have to, when you say leasing space in a facility, was it leasing space in another place that already had equipment? Or was it okay, so it's already had equipment. Okay, so what was the initial kind of like investment for that? And the reason why I'm asking is because I know there's a lot of trainers that are looking at, okay, what do I do as a mobile trainer? I have low overhead. But then if I go lease somewhere, I can either lease the place or I can go work in somewhere and give them a percentage, right? But you being the boss, the owner, going to go lease, like, what was that like? What was, okay, I'm gonna go into this gym. I see they have stuff in here. Let me go ahead and lease this. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was that? I do want to know numbers, but like I said, I'm not trying to get so deep into your business. But I do want trainers to really understand what they're looking at when they start, because you are a boss. You are your boss in this thing. And so you got to say, okay, if I'm going to be a boss, I got to pay the cost.
Mm-hmm.
I need to put something to say bars.
Boss. Um, this. You would. I feel like I'm in a Barbara Waters interview. This is getting
Look,
deep.
you Dr. Fitness, bro. You are the legend. You know I can't come half stepping with the questions.
but those are great questions. In my situation, is really I think it's unique to me, but maybe it isn't. Um, my office for my company was in that same building you used to work in.
Mm-hmm.
Not Prudential, but the Etna building
Etna, that's what it was. Etna, thank you.
on the South Bank,
Yep.
right? They do a lot of events there and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had an office there on the 15th floor. It's where I met with clients and stuff and set them up on programs. And so in the downstairs, they had a fitness facility in that
Mm-hmm.
building.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I was familiar with the facility. They knew I was upstairs. And so basically, the plan was, hey, how about we work together and see what we can do? Um, and so that is how that discussion started. The gym was looking for more business. At that time, I was doing radio regular,
Mm-hmm.
and and so I could do things to bring more business to the gym, and I could be an asset there for membership, and it could be a home base for me. So um,
I gotta stop you. I gotta stop you because I love what you're doing. First of all, you took something that you knew your wealth, your worth. You knew what you brought to the table. You were confident in what you had, whether if it was the working in the radio, and I can bring more here, let's work together. So what I'm hearing is you didn't make a huge investment dollar and cents wise. They got me just hearing a voice. You didn't make a huge investment dollar and cents wise, but you did bring a lot to the table.
mhm.
So I gotta ask this question. Please indulge your boy. What was the split? What was like? I really want to know what was the split at that time.
Isn't that crazy? I can't remember the split at that time. Um, uh,
Who got the lion's share?
um, my company did get the lion's share,
Okay,
but I mean, we were working with a really great person, though. I mean,
okay,
you know what I mean? That was managing that facility,
mm-hmm,
and so we just really lucked out. It was just a really good partner
mm-hmm.
I had at that facility, and he was managing it for the building. So
Okay.
we just really,
Oh, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
we
I apologize. I hate to be that interviewer that's always interrupting.
no,
Um,
that's okay.
but I want to stay in this vein because you lucked out. You had a real good person that you was working with, but talk to the trainer that doesn't know how to negotiate going in. Because right now, I know some gyms that'll try to hit a trainer 60-40, and the gym gets the lion's share. You see what I'm
Uh,
saying? I know some places go 50-50, right? I don't know a lot of trainers that are getting 60-40. You know what I'm saying? At some gyms. And I was blessed at a gym to get 70-30. You see what I'm saying? So, what would you say to a trainer uh, to approach a gym, a brick and mortar that already have stuff in there? And let's just say either A, they're starting, or B, they are a trainer with some influence. What would you say to that trainer? How can they make this work out for them?
to be honest, if they're just starting, I mean, it does put you in a situation where uh, the power dynamic
Mm-hmm.
is on the side of the gym,
Mm-hmm.
sure, because they're taking more of a risk on you
Okay.
than you on them, because they've done the work to set up their facility. So now they're having you come and in the hopes that you will bring value, but you
Mm-hmm.
may not bring value.
Okay.
You could bring, you could lower the value. You know, I mean, I hate to be,
But that's
um,
truth.
but you could be the one to lower the value of their facility.
Uh huh.
So I would, you know, and all that has to be taken into consideration. So when you're in a situation as a trainer, I think the first thing to do is really take a deep look at yourself and where you are in your business, in your practice, and where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, some people start their business and they go, because I've met with trainers that have wanted to work with me, and they'll start their business and they want to make what I'm making, and you're just new. So I'm like, I get it, but you gotta have to pay your dues.
Oh, I
People
was
don't
waiting on you to say it. I was waiting on you to
people
say it.
start a business and start here
Mm-hmm.
most time. You got to work your way up, and I think if the mindset of if your mindset is not to work your way up, then this business is not going to be probably a business that's going to be for you.
That's good, Doc. That's good. That's good. So, okay. Oh, I'm loving this. We got a few more minutes. I want to go ahead and kind of fast forward. Um, these last two things we'll talk about, they're almost in the same vein, but I do want to talk about fitness in the black community. And then after that, I want to talk about the association. Because I think there's an intersection there somewhere based on our conversations. So, what we do here at Black Fitness Matters, the reason that Fitness Matters is what it um, is because one, just like we know that there's a food desert over in the northwest quadrant, right? Not a lot of grocery stores, not a lot of fresh places to get fresh vegetables, but there's not a lot of fitness gyms or studios on the north side of Jacksonville. I can almost count on one hand the ones that I know outside of the Y. You know what I mean? We got a couple of big box gyms out on Dunn. You know what I mean? But from Main Street past about 8th Street on up, and then over towards the west when you get past about Edgewood. I'm being methodical when I say that because there's a big chunk of the northwest quadrant that doesn't have access to more fitness. But then, is it feasible as a business to go over there when the community seems not to put a value on fitness? I know that's a broad stroke, but let's if we can be real, I've seen on the opposite sides of town people out walking, whole families out walking, riding bikes, just out. I've physically gone with a camera on the north side and rode around on a Saturday morning and a Sunday morning to see where the people that are working out on, you can't see it. And again, I'm talking broad strokes, but where I went, of course, there are some people out working, or they might leave to go downtown and hit the bridges. But I say all this to say because with Black Fitness Matters, I don't know if it's either fitness education that people don't know what to do, you know what I mean? How to do or where to go. And so with Black Fitness Matters, we want to make sure that, okay, let's go ahead and start doing some free workouts in underserved communities. Let's start showing people what they can do with a resistance band, with body weight exercises and stuff. So to get back to the point, why? Why is it that there's a lack of value that we put on it, and or let me not put any words in your mouth. What do you see when it comes to our community and fitness?
Uh, Black fitness matters. Um, and what I see is when I look at the numbers, um, the first phase of my career when I was uh, having a mobile training business, um, the percentage of black clients was really pretty low still at that
Mm-hmm.
point. And this is of people that were making considerable money.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then on the other side of it, when I went to the facility, I had more participation of black clients. So I do think it's a price point and a safe location
Okay.
matter.
Ooh,
So when
yeah.
I was downtown, when I'm on like I do a radio show on in Duval 93.3 to be with T Roy,
Yeah.
right? And so that show, the demographic is the
Mm-hmm.
urban community
Mm-hmm.
from about 19 to 36 is about the sweet spot with the the most listeners. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's that.
Mm-hmm.
And what was really cool about it is they will show up um, to do workouts, and they have some concern about it, but it's approaching them right.
Mm-hmm.
It's connecting with them in the right way, and I think we're not doing that as as uh, as well as we should be.
But what?
As,
Okay, stay there though. Stay there. When you say we're not connecting them right, I have to. A part of me has to push back a little bit
oh yeah,
because there's Instagram. There's workouts all over Instagram. There's workouts all over YouTube. So how is it that we aren't connecting, excuse me, when they see all these different fitness influencers, especially in that age group? That age group is all, Instagram is their home. You see what I'm
hmm
saying? So where's the mark being missed that you see?
hey, that's a really good point. And I see when I look at people in their social medias, most people look at the social media like looking at a movie, like like looking at something, not in a participatory sense.
I got you.
Okay. So we're saying, hey, there are all these great workouts. They're not looking at them as great workouts to participate in, particularly if they don't even know the person.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a trainer that's doing great things on social media, but you're not spending the time to connect with those people, I mean, there's a difference between doing great things on social media and actually connecting to people.
Come on, Doc. Come on. And like it's a saying, everybody's not who they post to be. What they're posting. I like what you said there, Doc. Um, so
We're
how
not
do
doing
we
it to
connect?
develop relationships with the community, and that's my thought. It's not what we're putting out there posting, it's what we're doing to talk, to interact, to bring them in.
So now that gives a great segue over to the association. Please tell people about this. Listen, uh, just talk about the association real quick.
See, the great thing and the point of the association, Chris and I and uh, a, a group of trainers got together and decided that we would form the Jacksonville Association for Exercise and Nutrition Professionals. The point is for exercise and nutrition professionals to work together and find ways to reach each other, first of all, support each other,
Hmm.
and then bring that support back to underserved communities.
Wow.
Okay. And find ways to literally embrace that community so that they're not going outside of that community to spend money on these random things where they can spend that same money in house and know the person really cares about them. It's, they know what you know, but then they know that you care.
Absolutely.
Uh, and I think that's really important. And I think there's a really great place for the association, not only here in Jacksonville but in other cities too. Particularly when we have communities that have really great um, personal trainers, fitness instructors, wellness coaches, and nutrition coaches
Hmm.
in their midst, but they're underutilized because the people that are using the great fitness support you have in your city are the people that don't live in their neighborhoods. We'll see them. So the people outside of your neighborhood is going to hire that trainer because they know how good he is. But unfortunately, that great trainer is not going to be able to support people that look like him. And
So this is the crazy part, because we got money too, and that's one thing that me and you had long conversations about this stuff. So now, what I understand with the, did you say relationship? Because I don't think it as much. I do think it's education, community education when it comes to fitness, but it is the relationship, and I think building the value also. And also letting people know that, yo, this is not going to take like what you saw last week on The Biggest Loser, because that person lost 25 pounds last week, but that person has a chef, doctors, trainers, and all that stuff. And then you get mad if you lost 2 pounds, which is a safe, you know, weight loss number. Maybe three, five, you know what I'm saying? But you're not going to lose 85 pounds in 80 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So we got to be able to put the value not only on what we do as trainers and that fitness lifestyle, but the journey, and how what they're going to get out of that journey is going to be way more lasting, longer lasting, wouldn't you think?
I absolutely think that. I think, but I do, like you were saying, I do think it begins with developing that relationship,
Mm-hmm.
because the relationship is the way in
Okay.
to everything else.
Okay.
To everything else, developing that relationship is the way in. And the people that are the most successful are the people that are building that community using the relationship to do it.
Wow. That is awesome because I heard a business nugget there as well. You know what I'm saying? Build the relationship. I saw a lot that went on during the pandemic. Uh, a lot of trainers built relationship during the pandemic. See, I'm not ashamed to say, I wasn't trying to build relationship. I was trying to build rebanking
And
during the, during the pandemic because the gyms were closed and I needed money in the house. So why am I going to do free workouts? You know what I'm saying? And I know you can at least pay 10, 15, $20, to be a part of an online community. Whereas I saw trainers doing stuff for free. And then as the world started to open up, the pockets started to open up for those trainers. They started, because they built relationship. Like what you said, how does the association build relationship here in Jacksonville? What are the things has the association done, partnerships and different things like that? Tell us about that.
well, currently what we've done is participated in the Vegan Fest for several years. The I'm a Star Foundation. It's a foundation where it's run by um, young adults. Run it. They come up with the health initiatives and they run them from year to year, and they
Mm-hmm.
do events. We support those events
Mm-hmm.
and participate.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of the things that we're doing at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But this year we're looking to really do some different things
Mm-hmm.
and to find other ways to be really active participants in the community.
Yeah.
So, so as we build membership and work with each other to make that happen, because I think it's building those relationships, and unfortunately, those training relationships like this one, it's really important to make the association work well. And so I'm in that stage of really continuing that process of building the trainer and nutrition and relationships.
And what has to happen is the trainer has to really understand that one, we can't train everybody in Jacksonville. So we have to get rid of a lack mindset and think with a wealth mindset. And when I'm in an association or in relationship with other good trainers, you may not be able to train Miss Jenkins or Mr. Jones, right? Because your plate is full. But you know me. And they both live on the south side. And wait a minute, Chris is over on the south side. Let me holler at Chris.
There you go.
It's not take anything away from you. Cause
Nope.
watch this. I Yo, appreciate that. Woo, thanks for the assist. Boom, layup. So now I'm gonna be looking for you. Boom, there's another one for you. Go in your direction. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it, Chris. So so it's a win 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 win.
Mm-hmm.
And um and I see that in the future of the Jacksonville Association of Exercise and Nutrition Professionals.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, this association, if you have not heard about it, you need to get to know it. There's a lot of awesome trainers that are already present that have been touched by the association. And we already know that in 2023, we're going to be connecting with a lot more of the local trainers here and in the Northeast Florida region, not just Jacksonville. You
Oh,
know what I
that's what I'm
mean?
talking
We're gonna knock that out, but it'll be for your benefit. You know,
about.
Max. Listen, 2023. What's your goals, man? Give me a couple of things that you're looking for doing for personally and for your fitness business. We've already heard some goals for the association. What you looking for 2023?
Wow, I want to do more stuff with online programs
Mm-hmm.
and online classes.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I just completed developing a class based on the three pillars, which
Mm-hmm.
are going to be find it, face it, and fix it. And so, when you have any kind of wellness issue, the first thing we want to help you to do is find that issue.
Mm-hmm.
Then we want to help you to face the issue. And then after we do those two steps, we're going to be able to help you to fix it. And so it's an online program that's going to run for a month. Yeah. Oh, goodness. It's,
I had to do it. I had to do
I appreciate it. You look at that. Thank you. It's in it's in the beta testing now. So if someone wants to get in during beta test,
it.
it's deeply discounted. So they'll be able to experience it and learn a lot from it. Um, so if you're one of those people that haven't been able to get the success you want from different wellness programs, this is the way to get the base work done that'll help you to be really consistent later.
Okay.
You know, but
Okay.
you have a like for trainers, if you have a client that just has not been able to be consistent, have them do this program first, and then, bam, they will enter your program with the right attitude.
Man, Doc, I'm watching the time and this is just so awesome. I'm really thankful for your time, man. I try to be very cognizant of people's time, and you. This was an amazing time sitting with you to learn more about your background, who you are, how you got started, your passion for not only the people but the trainers, and then the community and relationship. I think if people and let me say this, ladies and gentlemen, this man is one of the most positive people I know. Like I was just telling him, I love his positive view on life,
Oh,
positive response to life, and he doesn't look at things as like he could look at it like I, we was having a conversation and I'm looking at the negative and I'm critiquing it. And he's like, well, you know what? We can do this. And yeah, that is great. But we look at, and I'm like, wow, my jaw is on the ground because the way that he thought it, it really helped me, not only as a trainer, but as a person. Because I honestly, sometimes I am overly critical about some things, but he's showing me how to look at the positive. Let the positive view be the first view. You know what I mean? So, Doc, I really appreciate that
yeah,
about you.
I'm humbled and kind. I'm just really thankful that you've had those takeaways. But it goes both ways.
Hmm.
I mean, you shared things to really bring my game up and help me to think about things differently too. So, all that's really important. That's a great thing about creating networks and being together.
Hmm.
Everyone gets to grow from each other.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
want to thank you for the many blessings and gifts that you've also given me.
Thank you, thank you. Well, listen, y'all. As you see right down there, that is his social media. I am Dr. Fitness. You can find him on Instagram, Facebook.
I think it's on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter,
Okay,
uh, and any other one that's out there. Don't hesitate to hit me up.
and they can listen to you on 93.3 to beat with T. Roy.
And Dr. McGowan.
and Dr. McGowan on Thursdays. Yes, yes, yes. So, man, listen, it has been my honor and my pleasure. I started this podcast a little while ago, some years ago, and um, just some things I got in my way. You know what I'm saying? But now to be back here and doing it, and to have you as the first guest, man, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Hell yeah.
So
That's what I'm talking about. Hey,
follow
I'm
us,
going to have
please.
you guest as a guest too.
Oh,
I do.
bet,
I do have a podcast, so you will be a guest on the podcast. It's
please. What's the podcast?
find your fitness with
Mhm.
Doctor Fitness.
Find Your
Yep,
Fitness with Dr. Fitness, and that's on all podcasts.
it's all podcast platforms, but particularly the iHeartMedia one.
Okay. Okay, bet. So y'all please go check out Dr. Fitness there. Once again, Black Fitness Matters. We're strengthening our community one rep at a time. Join us next week. You'll know on the pages on the Black Fitness Matters underscore on Instagram, Black Fitness Matters on Facebook. I'm not getting on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm just, I only need a few places. That's it. I only need a few places.
Oh, Twitter. I ain't gonna lie. Twitter is probably my favorite. Twitter is my favorite.
But see, Twitter, I think that's where they have the conversation at. I understand that's where, the conversation and you're up to know like real time on a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? So I just sometimes I'm gonna give it to
You
my
know,
wife. She's my social media manager.
seriously, well, you lucked out. You got a fine social media manager. Okay, let me get back to that. What I love about Twitter is you literally can reach anybody in the world on Twitter
Okay.
with just a tweet. Literally, the president of any country, you put it in, they get the tweet. His
Wow.
office gets that tweet, and they usually respond.
Wow.
So I had the president of Delta Airlines respond to me about a baggage issue that they corrected immediately from Twitter. I've had when you can't get them on the phone because you know how hard it is to get people on the phone right
Yeah.
now. It no matter you get a problem with your bank and you try to get them on the phone. Oh, they put you through this and that. You got to go through all the touchstones. No, on Twitter, you put it out on blast. They get
When
right back to you.
when I at you, you better get at it.
They get right back to you on
Wow.
Twitter.
Wow. I think I had to get into that as well. But this
Oh, I'm
is what is
sorry.
it, January 10th? Hopefully by maybe mid-February, we'll go ahead and have our calendar up of where we're gonna be, what parks we're gonna be at. Also, you can go online to blackfitnessmatters.net if you want to cop one of these shirts like what Dr. Fitness has on. He has the newest iteration. I have one of the first ones that we came out with. I love them both. Black Fitness Matters. Listen, do you see that vascularity? Oh my gosh, the vascularity in that man's arms.
I'm just trying to show the shirt. Look
I
at that.
know.
Yeah,
Listen. I'm a fitness guy. I see
black
that.
fitness matters.
Well, listen, y'all. We thank y'all so much for showing up. Please share, 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 follow, all that good stuff. Download the podcast and listen. We'll holler at y'all next time. All right. It's your man Chris Courtney, Coach Chris for Dr. Fitness. Thank y'all so much,
Hey,
and have a wonderful day.